White fatigue is actually so crazy right now. Like, I'm just getting so tired of the whiteness right now. The Yakubians, the Mayo monkeys, the beige bandits. It's getting too much for me. Low key, y'all whites need to go back to your own country. All right, go back to your own country, out in Europe and Britain and shit, and have a chippy tea, and go in the fucking mountains of Europe and fucking go back to living in fucking Mount Caucasus. Caucasians, the caucasity pisses me off right now. Really, y'all just doing too.
Oh yeah guys, welcome back to the channel and I hope you are all doing good. There's a new conversation spreading fast across social media, something people are calling white fatigue. It's not just another trending phrase or hashtag, it's a raw emotional reaction from many white Americans who say they are exhausted, tired of constant conversations about race, privilege and accountability. But here is the twist. Many of those same voices are also admitting something shocking, that black Americans have been right all along. So guys, let's get into this video. I'll be coming back with more commentaries. In case of any thoughts, kindly feel free to let me know in the comment section. Stay tuned.
I ain't gonna lie, we gotta start doing something about these people. Y'all heard about the white boy that took the lives of 3 black people a couple days ago and there's no media coverage on it? Look at this, y'all. Like, man, this happened in Cincinnati, Ohio, bro. Apparently it was no motive at all. Like, just, these people are sick, man. 9 times out of 10, they're going to make an excuse calling this a mental illness for this dude, too. I can't even say it's fatigue anymore, bro. It's just like a sickness, man. I don't know.
There was a white woman who has now since deleted her video talking about black fatigue and how she and the rest of society are so fed up with the ghetto and ratchet behavior, the entitlement, the victimhood. Her words, not mine. Couple of things. 1, black fatigue is a real thing. But it's not what that lady was saying. Black fatigue is the emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by the daily stress of living under systemic racism and its consequences. So the black community has black fatigue due to the oppression they've lived under in this country since its inception. 2, it never ceases to amaze me how little most white people are willing to look at the true history of this nation and understand that while they personally may not have owned slaves or lynched black people or used black babies as alligator bait or conducted experiments on black people or operated on black women without pain medicine because they didn't think black women could feel pain, they are still benefiting off the society and systems that made those things possible. Racism is deeply rooted in this country from the beginning. We stole this land from the indigenous Native Americans. We brought black people to this country against their will and sold them into slaveries. We ripped their families apart. We have maligned, maimed, and misused the black community since the first ship arrived on the shores of the United States. Do you understand how hard the fight has been to get even a semblance of equality in this country? And now, what little progress we've made is being undone by this administration. Trump and this administration has made people like that woman and the many racist commenters on that post feel comfortable to speak so publicly about their racist views and feelings. Because, spoiler alert, nothing will happen to them. Black people are questioned about everything they do, even if they're just walking down the street. Until this country as a whole accepts responsibility for how we were designed and built, this country will never see true equality.
White fatigue is so real. That man was on that plane, spitting on people, hitting people, refused to stay in his seat. And I don't want to hear black women talking about black men don't protect black women. When that black woman was in distress, this black flight attendant, it was a black man that came to help.
Hi there, just yelling into the void. So, part of my white fatigue is the complete unwillingness to understand white privilege and what it actually is. A lot of white people seem to think that when you tell them they have white privilege, that somehow you're telling them, well, you just had it easier, or you've never had a hard time, or you've never had down times, or you've never had to pinch pennies. Not the case. That is not what white privilege is. It doesn't mean that you haven't had hard times. What it means is that you haven't had, in addition to those hard times, a judgment placed on you by society of your skin color. You don't have that. And you have been able to take advantage of certain systems that are in place that uphold white supremacy. That is what white privilege is. It's not that you didn't have a hard time. Your color wasn't giving you a hard time. It wasn't creating the issues in your life, not the color of your skin. For Black people, it's different. They have hard times, they have issues, and they also have the strike of their skin color against them, where people are judging them on that, or oppressing them based on that, or basically holding them back based on that, or incarcerating them because of that. So that is what white privilege is. It's that you didn't have that experience. For example, I used to work with this guy. He was your typical Macomb County white guy. If you know, you know. And I remember him telling me that he was a self-made man and that he didn't experience any benefits from white privilege, and that was just a bunch of bunk and it was made up. Well, he also talked about how there was programs in his neighborhood when he was growing up with the boys club and things like that, and how great they were and how they, really helped put them on a path, and had them interacting and learning how to socialize and kind of building connections. Yeah, building connections is really important. And because when you lack education, you can fall back on those connections to kind of prop you up. So that was one of the things that he talked about. And I thought, gee, I wonder if they had those programs available in minority neighborhoods. I don't think so. But another thing would be the neighborhood that he grew up in. What was the tax base like? What about his parents? What advantages were they given? Was his dad able to take advantage of the GI Bill for education, which a lot of Black men were denied? There's just so many things in place, so many systems in place that have given white people advantages that Black people didn't have. They weren't offered to them. They didn't have access to them, and that's your privilege. I hope this helps, and
guys, even as we continue watching, we are seeing white fatigue is real and it's hitting hard. White Americans are speaking out. They are saying they are tired, they are overwhelmed, and they are realizing Black people have been right about racial injustice all along. Is this the start of real change, or just another cycle of guilt and denial? Guys, let's continue watching the full rant that has got everyone talking. Kindly drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree or not?
I can't say that I spend a lot of time hanging around racist white people, but I will say this: they will always find a way to make themselves out to be the victim. I had this one coworker in the past, let's just say her name was Barbara, okay? Barbara's this middle-aged white woman who has some racist views. One day, we've got a new girl, she's serving a table, it's full of like 8 bitchy Karens who are doing way too much Basically, they just want to get their food for free. So they're sending everything back after they've already eaten half of it and saying like, oh, this was terrible. I didn't like this. I didn't like that, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I felt so bad for the new girl because she's like on the verge of tears. Like she is so flustered. These Karens are being so rude, so mean for no reason. Well, they would just want to get their food for free. I said something like, man, I hope that new girl doesn't think this is what all of our customers are like, because they are not like that. Usually they're really nice, and this is like a one-off situation, and this is like her third day at work, and she's having to deal with this. I feel so bad. Barbara looks at me and goes, well, you know why that is. And I'm over here like, no, what? And she goes, it's because they're black. Immediately, I shut it down, and I'm like, this has absolutely nothing to do with race. That is wildly inappropriate to say. Like, I can't even tell you how many white tables I've had that have acted exactly like that and worse. I said, maybe it's because they're bitchy Karens who want their food for free, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that they're black. So I felt like I set the record straight. I felt like we had an understanding, right? Anyway, Barbara goes home earlier than the rest of us. She took that opportunity to go and run and tell HR that I was discriminating against her as a Wisconsinite. Now, let me tell you what really happened. Barbara thought I was going to go to HR and tell on her for being racist. So she thought, let me go to HR first and report Axel first. Because then, whenever Axel reports me for being racist, it's going to seem like he's just making it up. And he's just mad that I reported him. So now he's making up a bunch of bullshit. And it's just retaliation. Very sneaky, very sneaky. Oh, the racist whites will always do that, won't they? They will always try to turn themselves into the victim. I ended up getting suspended for a week without pay, okay? And I lived paycheck to paycheck at the time. So that they could do an investigation into me and interview a bunch of coworkers and see if I was discriminatory against Wisconsinites. The most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever heard. All because Miss Barbara couldn't take accountability when she was caught in the act being racist. Don't worry, I ended up getting her back. She ended up quitting because she was like super embarrassed by the end of all of this. So anyway, we got her back. I'm not going to go into all of that, but we got her back and she learned her lesson, okay? I ended up really like laying into her. But anyway, just to my point, I was thinking about that today and I was like, man, the lengths that these racist white people will go to rationalize and excuse their racism, to justify their racism, and to avoid taking accountability whenever they get caught in the act.
I would love to cherry pick things that people say for the sake of my own convenience and point. Get a job, get an education is just a list of things that people could do aside from sitting around and complaining about things that are pointless. So I know you guys can't read the rest of her comment, but she's basically like 50 things in the list of 400 years of oppression. Shut up. Shut up. 50 things in the light of 400 years of oppression. Shut up. No one alive today experienced the slavery that y'all keep referencing. Nobody alive today perpetuated the slavery that y'all keep referencing. I'm not apologizing for things that other people did, just like I don't expect people who were never actually victimized to be taking up a victim mentality. And that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? It's not any type of fatigue, it's victim fatigue, and it knows no color. People who constantly sit around and are victimized instead of taking their lives by their own two hands and taking some personal responsibility. That is what I'm sick of. Victim fatigue.
Oh yeah, you know, the term white fatigue describes the exhaustion many white Americans feel when confronting issues of race and privilege. And that is why in this video, we are exploring how this growing sentiment has led some to admit that Black Americans' experiences with racism and inequality have been right all along, and what that means for racial progress today. So, what exactly is white fatigue? Why is it hitting so hard right now? And could this moment, this discomfort actually be the beginning of something deeper? The term white fatigue in itself comes from the world of social psychology. It describes the emotional weariness some white people feel when they are asked to confront racism, especially their own role in systems of inequality. It's that feeling of I'm tired of talking about race, or why can't we just move on? But here is the problem. For Black Americans, there has never been the luxury of moving on. The struggle, the conversation, the reality, it never stops. So when white fatigue hits, it reveals something deeper, not just exhaustion, but the limits of empathy. How far people are willing to go before they want comfort again. Yes, so why is it hitting hard right now? Over the last few years, America has been through wave after wave of racial reckoning, from George Floyd to DEI backlash, from book bans to corporate diversity walkbacks. And now, many white Americans are hitting a wall. They are saying, we tried to listen, we tried to learn, but we are just tired. And here is where it gets interesting. Some are also admitting for the first time that Black people have were never exaggerating. The system really is unfair. The patterns really are real. This shift from denial to fatigue to reluctant agreement might sound small, but in a country built on denial, that is actually massive. Yes, so there is some emotional conflict in that for many white Americans, acknowledging that Black people were right means confronting a lot of guilt, confusion, and even anger. That's the emotional clash behind this rant. People don't just feel tired of the topic. They feel tired of what the truth demands from them. Because once you admit something is real, you can't unsee it. You can't hide behind ignorance anymore. And that's where fatigue turns into something powerful: awareness. The choice to either walk away from the discomfort or stay in it long enough to grow. What are Black Americans saying about this? As I was perusing through the social media pages on TikTok, Twitter, podcast clips, meanwhile the many Black voices online are responding with a mix of empathy and frustration. Some say, we've been saying this for decades, welcome to the conversation. Others are less forgiving. If you are tired of talking about racism, imagine living it every day. Both reactions make sense, because white fatigue is not the end of the conversation. It's just another layer in the long process of reckoning. Yes. So where does this leave us? Maybe white fatigue is uncomfortable, even ugly at times, but discomfort can be a sign of growth. When people get tired of hearing the truth, it means the truth is finally being heard. Whether you are white, Black, or anything in between, this is the moment to keep pushing, keep talking, and keep facing what is real, because the truth is not what divides us. Denial is. Yes, so guys, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video thought-provoking, hit that like button. Kindly give the video a thumbs up, share it for it to get to a wider audience, and let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Guys, kindly subscribe, hit that notification button. Thanks for watching, and remember, awareness is only the first step. Be blessed and have a nice time. Peace be with you until the next one.